Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shifty's 49ers Talk. In today's video, we are going to be recapping, reviewing the 49ers Week 2 preseason game against the Minnesota Vikings. The Niners came away with a win on the road, 17-7. There's actually a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack in this game, so let's not waste any time, guys. We're going to jump right in. Alrighty guys, so when it comes to the breakdown of this game, how I want to do it is we're going to start off with the offense. We'll talk about some of the good and then some of the bad. Then we'll move on to the defensive side of the ball and we'll do the same thing. We'll talk about the good and the bad. Now, after that, the final part I want to finish off is basically an overall reflection of the game. So let's start off with the offense. Some of the good that I saw in the game. Let's start off with the quarterbacks. I thought both Nate Sudfeld and Brock Purdy were really solid. Both looked in command of the offense, which is really good to see. Brock Purdy on a 2-minute drill, Nate Sudfeld just making the right reads and the right throws. Couple of plays in particular that stood out to me. Nate Sudfeld, rolling out to his left, throwing across his body, and hits veteran Tayler Kroft on the sideline. I thought the throw was great, the catch was great, really impressive there. Then when we look at Brock Purdy, he had a really nice throw to wide receiver Malik Turner, cutting in on an in route, just threw it right in there perfectly where it needed to be, through a number of defenders. So really impressive stuff from both of those guys. Overall, in the game, we had 215 passing yards, touchdown, no picks. So you gotta like that. Now, other things that I thought were pretty good too offensively were in the running game. I thought Jordan Mason looked really impressive. A number of big runs, especially on the inside. And we've been seeing lately, Shanahan has been favoring, the inside zone a little bit more than the outside zone. So that's really impressive to see. But also want to give a shout out Tyrion Davis-Price. Some really nice physical, aggressive runs. Should have had a touchdown as well. I don't know how that wasn't called. Jordan Mason too should have had a touchdown, but it got called back from a penalty. But I also thought JaMychal Hasty, a couple of nice runs. 3 carries, 15 yards, and he had the touchdown reception. So I think those running backs in particular had a pretty nice game. Some of the receivers played pretty well too. I thought Danny Gray, despite having a bit of a pretty bad drop, couple of nice plays as well down the field. Malik Turner was looking pretty good too. So overall, I think the offense was pretty darn good. We put up 17 points, but then again, it is preseason. But, one of the things that I really now want to move on to is the bad when it comes to the offense. So we're looking at the offense, a couple of things that stood out to me in a negative way. So Trey Sermon, not good. Let's be honest, 5 carries, 8 yards, it's not going to cut it. Overall in the preseason, 11 carries for 19 yards. It's a 1.7 yards per carry average. Not going to cut it. He's, initially I thought in the Green Bay game he looked decent. A couple of plays didn't go his way with missed blocks and whatnot, but when you look at the numbers, and now 11 carries is a relatively small sample size, but still to me, not really going to cut it. A couple of other things on offense, which I wasn't crazy about. The amount of penalties. We had 6 offensive penalties. Some of them were really big and hurt us big time. So Jordan Mason would have had a touchdown. Got a penalty, bring it back. Now we're not in a good position. There was a penalty on 4th down, which was a turnover on downs. You give them 15 yards. That was Malik Turner, I believe, unsportsmanlike conduct, I believe, but not great as well. Offensively, the blocking was definitely inconsistent. Some guys played pretty well. I thought Jason Poe played pretty well. Other guys, not so much. I'm a little bit worried about that. Again, that right tackle position, not great. Justin School, again, not impressing me whatsoever. I really doubt that he will make the 53-man roster based on what we've seen through the 2 weeks of preseason. Overall, though, I really do kind of like how the offense moved the ball, but there's definitely some things to clean up offensively. Let's now take a look at the defensive side of the ball, and there's a lot of good to talk about here when you only give up 7 points. And again, I know it's preseason, but when you only give up 7 points, it means that your defense has played pretty darn well. So first thing that I love to see is forcing the turnovers. That was a big thing last year for DeMeco Ryans' defense, where we just didn't force enough turnovers. We had a number against Green Bay. We also have 2 more interceptions in the game against Minnesota. Minnesota. George Odum had one, Taylor Hawkins had one, and these are both guys who could be competing for some playing time, in week 1, potentially week 2, with Jimmy Ward having the hamstring injury. So you really got to like that ability, that what we're seeing is the team being able to force turnovers. I thought also the defense really, really good on third down. Minnesota's offense was only 2 for 11 on third down. So we did an excellent job of getting off the field there. When you think about it, just overall in terms of yardage given up, the defense was phenomenal. So the opposing team, Minnesota, they only had 136 passing yards and 59 rushing yards. That's what most teams will have in half of football. We only gave that up in only that amount of yards, but for the entire game. So really, really like what I saw. A number of players really stood out to me too. I think Drake Jackson, showing why he was a second-round pick, probably should have been a first-round pick. Really athletic, really aggressive, had a pass batted down, which I really liked a lot too. And that's another big thing what the defense was showing. 6 passes defended, so you really have to like that. Javon Kinlaw had a big-time sack. The only sack of the game, but Javon Kinlaw had a big-time sack in the game. And a lot of the coverage looked pretty good. I thought Lenoir had a nice bounce-back game. Womack continues to impress. Odum looks pretty good out there. So all in all, there's just really essentially nothing but positives here to take away from the defense in this game. But I do want to talk about, is there anything that we could really have improved on with regards to the defense? Well, maybe some more sacks would have been nice, or maybe some more turnovers, but beyond that, I'm kind of like searching for things where we could say, hey, we need to do better here. Minnesota for sure had a couple of nice runs here and there, a couple of decent passes where guys got open, but it's going to happen realistically in every single football game. So honestly, defensively, things that were bad or to be improved on, really nothing. So great job to Miko Ryans, and great job and shout out to the defense there. That's really going to sum it up for how the defense played against the Minnesota Vikings in week 2 of the preseason. Let's now do a quick recap and a quick overview of just like the game as a whole. Offensively, we moved the ball pretty well. Besides for a couple of drops and a couple of bad penalties, the offense, to me, I was fairly happy with it. When we look at the offensive line where there was inconsistent blocking, we don't have Trent Williams. We didn't have Jake Brendel out there. We're missing a lot of guys, so that's somewhat to be expected. But I thought the offense was moving the ball up and down the field. Yeah, just besides for the penalties and that brutal turnover by Brock Purdy, which was just, one of those things. And it's preseason, so they cleaned that up. Beyond that, offense looked good. Defensively, it was just fantastic. I loved what I saw. Loved seeing Sammy Womack just continue to improve and to show why this is why we cut Darqueze Dennard. Samuel Womack has just been nothing but impressive. Love to see the continued turnovers. The other big thing, and this was a very an ideal Shanahan-esque game, because look at the time of possession. I know it's preseason, but it was essentially 37 minutes to 23 minutes. We just controlled the game, which is not an easy thing to do when you go into another opponent's stadium, but we did it. We basically just kept them out of the game. I thought the Niners looked much, much better. I think our depth is fantastic. Star players that really stood out to me. Let's give a shout out to both Sudfeld and Purdy on offense. Thought they were fantastic. Jordan Mason, the rookie undrafted free agent running back. And then on defensively, Drake Jackson, I thought looked fantastic. Didn't exactly fill up the stat sheet, but looked great. And then let's do, George Odum getting that interception. Nice interception forced by pressures by guys like Drake Jackson. So we're really happy about that. And again, nobody got hurt. Something to build confidence on. Now, when it comes to preseason week 3, and I will do a preview video for that, that's going to be a little bit interesting because we are going to see a lot more of the starters get some playing time. It's kind of gone are the days when you had 4 preseason games and the last game was just guys trying to make the roster. Now, because it's going to be 17 days after the 3rd preseason until we play week 1, yes, Shanahan's going to want to get Trey Lance some snaps. He's going to want to get, a lot more of the starters out there just so they can, play different opponents and it's not just going against each other in practice. So regardless of what Brandon Ayuk thinks, it's good to go against other players from different teams just so you face like different techniques and different schemes. But ultimately, guys, I'm going to leave it right there. I thought the game was a really fun game. I didn't actually get to watch it live, but I did watch it later. And yeah, really enjoyable, a lot of fun, and really happy that the 49ers came away with the win. I don't care if it's preseason. A 49ers win is a 49ers win. There's going to be videos coming out later this week. Unfortunately, I will not be able to stream the game against the Houston Texans. But rest assured, once it gets to week 1, I will be here live doing my crazy reactions, and there's going to be a whole bunch of videos leading up to all of that. Thanks for watching, you guys. I really do, and I don't say it enough, I appreciate all the subscriptions, all the likes, all the comments. I love engaging with you guys, so really appreciate your support. And I'm going to say 2 things right now, guys. So the butt counts, and then I'm going to catch y'all on the flip side.